I mean, now in a restaurant, like refrigeration guys are a dying breed, HVAC guys are a dying breed, gas guys are, plumbers are. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to really understand that, like when I started in this job many years ago, even worked for somebody else, the first few guys you meet are the guy that's cleaning your grease trap, the guy that's coming in and fixing all the plumbing or producing you with more electrical or fixing your pizza ovens or all your gas guys.
Yeah.
And so a good story to that is the gentleman that I've known forever. He retired a few years ago, and that created this huge gap of him telling me, honestly, he said, "Hey Jim, I wish I had a great recommendation for you on somebody that can do exactly what I'm doing for you now, but I don't."
Oh man.
I mean, that resonates with you
Yeah.
because then you're like, well,
Like, who the hell is going to fix my pizza oven when it breaks?
who's gonna who's gonna maintain all the refrigeration if it's not for me to learn?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's gonna refrigerate, fix all the HVAC when it breaks? Who's gonna, so that to me is a huge sense of understanding of I tell my kids all the time, like, do what you love, be passionate about what you do, because there will always be something for you to be a part of. And it's a great learning tool for me as well. And the fact that now we get to teach ourselves how to do a lot of the stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
You get to learn how to do simple plumbing and fix
Jump on
electrical items.
YouTube and pull the video.
Yeah, well,
pretty
now
much
you
anything,
also have
yeah.
now you can fix or make a drink as a bartender using an app.
Yeah.
When I learned how to bartend, if somebody wasn't going to show you, you couldn't make a martini save your life.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what that was. Now you
Sean,
can
you're gonna have to make your
yeah.
that drink that you made, or ribbon cutting. What is it?
Come on, Sean. How
What's
are you
in
doing?
it? That the really good. We call it the coffee drink, but it wasn't the coffee drink.
The goats?
The goats.
The goats.
I don't have cream yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's good. We love Sean. We
Yeah.
love Sean.
Yeah, Sean's, and Sean's a good example of that. Like, he came up to a restaurant, so, in a different manner than I did. I was employed in a restaurant. He came up to the restaurant based on his background, his uncle, his dad, and I'm fortunate to have him here and learning a different side of a restaurant,
Yeah.
like where someday down the road, whether he chooses to own a restaurant or own a business on his own, he's going to be really good at that. Because the moment he walked through the doors here, there's not a lot of training to be had. He knows exactly what he's doing, and so you have to appreciate the fact that you have all these young kids willing to share their live experiences with you.
Right.
Whether it's coming up to a restaurant or we have a couple kids here now that are moving on, and I love to see that
Yeah.
in this industry. And in your industry, is it the same?
It was Cam. He went to Hawaii. I mean, he worked here for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, and Cam's a Coeur d'Alene kid, went to Hawaii, and I didn't get the opportunity to know Cam as well as I do a lot of the other kids that I have here now.
What up, man?
Hi, Darren. How are you? Good morning. Yeah, but he's right where he needs to be.
Yeah.
If you know Cam, that's what he wants to do, and that's where he's at. And so same with a lot of the young kids here. We have a young gentleman here. He's going to be leaving in July, right? And I've had him since he was, 17, 18 years old. So you have to think, being here with me for the
Is it
last.
Keto? Who is it?
It's Devin. Devin's gonna be leaving.
Oh, man.
Yeah, in July. And so the thought there is, when you've had somebody, a lot of these young men and women here, you have them for a small window of time,
Yeah.
and they're gonna move on to do great things in life. And my job now is to just make sure that while they're here with me, they get to learn something,
Yeah.
whether it's in this industry or not. I want to pass on the fact that I lead in a certain way.
Yeah.
Whether you love or hate it or not, you've been here with me. So there's something that you got to like about that.
You're giving them such a good foundation, like a good, I don't even know how to describe it, but something that they can hold on to in a sense.
In that sense, it's in the way that I lead. There
Yeah.
are a lot of other ways that down the road they'll learn that if they work for somebody else or themselves, they get to lead the way they want.
Yeah.
They get to work for somebody else and witness that there could be way better ways of leading that they just haven't learned yet.
Right.
And so they get the small window of working with me, and we get to learn the way I lead, by kindness, hard work, inclusion.
Well, that's why we're
Yeah.
perfect for this
Yeah.
this whole podcast, man. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of people that come on. I know you got your list of guys.
Yeah.
I've got my list of people that
Yeah.
will probably alternate if there's some shows
Yeah.
that you can't make it and it's just me
Yeah.
or vice versa.
Yeah, we get to host together, and it's great that, like I said, is I've learned a lot about you today, that I haven't even, you've been coming here for years. Stephen and I know you from sitting across the
From
bar from
TV.
me. Yeah.
Like, oh, there he
Yeah,
is.
there he is, or a billboard, or sitting across the table from me.
That's right. We have a billboard right now.
Yeah,
That's right.
and so you have to really understand that, like, we get to learn a lot about each other.
Yeah.
And even today, we learned a lot about each other, and hopefully, we get to also now have the opportunity to learn a lot about other people, and they get to learn a lot about us, and so that's the shared experience, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
And that means more, I think. How about that? Back to your college question, right? I think there's a difference between getting the best education you could possibly get and having some sense of common sense and lived experience.
That's good.
How do you-
That's
how do
that's
you-
it. It's
Yes.
the lived experience. That's what it is.
How do you bridge that gap?
Yeah.
For my kids, how do I bridge that gap?
Yeah.
Of, I want you to be, right now going forward, they are, a lot of my young kids are really into technology, which is great for them. And I want them to be great at that. At the same time, I also want them to have good people skills, great common sense. How do you bridge that gap?
Yeah.
How do you bridge the gap of, I'm going to give you the choice. You can choose to go to college if that's what you feel is going to benefit yourself and your family going forward. Whether you know that now or not, or even when you're in college, that's the decision you're going to make then.
Yeah.
I'm going to support that decision. I'm your dad.
Yeah.
Whether you choose to
Are you
do
going to pay
something
for it?
creative.
Because the reason I ask is I remember when I went to U of I.
Yeah.
And I remember, and my parents, they didn't want to pay for us for college. They're like, hey, if you're going to go to college, you need to know that you're there because you're choosing to be there, not
Yeah.
because mommy and daddy are funding it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. And I was irritated at the time, but
Yeah.
now I understand.
Yeah.
But I remember my suite mates when
Yeah.
I lived in the dorms. One of the guys' name was Rob. Didn't go to class the entire semester. All they did was game all
Yeah.
night. They'd game till like 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
They would, I remember walking in there because the bathroom was on their side, so I'd have to go through the door.
Yeah.
And there was, I swear to God, like 30 or 40 pizza boxes stacked up. There were Coke cans everywhere. They were they never want to leave the room.
Maybe
so,
I need to move to a college neighborhood, man. I'm just kidding.
but I remember he didn't go to class the entire semester. I remember it was like 2-3 days, we're doing finals. And I remember I was in my room, I came in, and I remember he was just bawling on the phone. I was like, eavesdropping a little bit. And he was crying. He's like, Mom, I didn't go to class all semester. I'm like, oh my God, like that's what I don't want to have that.
Yeah.
I don't want to have my kids go to school because we're paying for it.
Like
but,
I said, there's a
but
difference
the lived
between
experience. So
lived
you're-
experience,
yeah.
common sense, and going to college. And I always tell my kids, whatever I can do for you, and your mother and I are on the same page, we will do it for you.
Yeah.
But it's bailing out of jail. I would gladly do that. For any
Yeah.
of the guys here, anybody I met, if somebody calls me and says, I got a DUI, I'm going to come pick you up.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah.
My job is to be here for you, to kind of help you navigate that nuance if I can.
Yeah.
If I can't, hopefully I know somebody who can, right?
Yeah.
So same thought at home, where it's, if my kids want to pursue an education or a trade or any kind of a learning experience, I'm all for it.
100% support.
Yeah.
Sean, how are we doing on time?
Yeah,
What about hour? What are we at?
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, let's talk about. So you've written a book, and I'm really interested in hearing about that.
So there's
and
the
I think
audio
our-
version and the print version.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, give us a little insight on that. Like, you've already given us a little bit insight on how you, the thought of writing a book, keeping your thoughts in a journal, and that just became, how did that become, just documenting your thoughts to let's publish a book? How did
Yeah,
you
I
get
mean,
there?
it was, back to like, it really was therapy. I knew, because I've got a buddy named Josh, and he told me from when we were kids, he said, Steve, you're either going to be really poor or you're going to do really well, like
Yeah.
really rich.
Yeah.
And I believed him.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, so I've been really poor.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'll do both.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know, I guess I just, any book that I ever read, it was always after the fact. It was like these guys that were really successful, they would talk about when they weren't successful. They would talk about when they were poor. They would talk about when they were starting their company out. But it was always way after the fact.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't think I've ever read a book that somebody was writing it as they were going through shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This might be like a book that nobody else has done before.
Yeah, and people get to learn from that.
And that was the thing. And it
That-
wasn't necessarily all of the steps that we took to get financially independent. It was, what am I feeling today?
Yeah.
What is going through my head when it was the first time getting on food stamps? I'm like, I'd never been on food stamps before. I'm like, what do I do with this thing? When I go to the store, I'm like, I mean, it's humbling. I'm like, hey, I have this EBT card. Like, how do I use this?
So does your book cover, like, you have all that documented in your book?
Yeah.
Where it goes from, step.
Because I started
A to Z.
writing, I mean, I talked about when I was firefighting, I talked about, when I applied to be a cop, and then when I applied for the FBI, and then when I tried to work for Edward Jones, and then I building our merchant portfolio, getting into, the Medicare world. Like, I talk about all that. So I wrote it over the course of like, let's say like 6 years.
Yeah.
And I just never thought, am I ever going to finish this? Am I ever going to get it done? Like, what am I going to do? Like, and I have to tie this up at some point.
Yeah.
So when I ended it, I hadn't actually quit my job yet.
Yeah.
But it was like, hey, our residual income is higher than our expenses. We basically have fuck you money at this point. We can say, hey, dude, I can walk away anytime I want to. And I hadn't yet, but.
Yeah.
And so I started writing another one, and that one's almost done.
Yeah.
But it was kind of picked up from where I'd left off. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, back to your question, it really was therapy. It was like, I have to get my thoughts down on paper. And I think for anybody that they're going through struggles, whatever it could be, relationships, could be drug addiction, drinking, whatever. It's almost like if you put your thoughts down on paper, it kind of gives you a sense of, that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm thinking. It kind of gives you you're good, man.
Hi,
Say
Dave.
hi.
This is Dave.
Hey, Dave.
This is a live podcast, Dave. Thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate you, man. But it was getting those thoughts down on paper kind of helps you recognize, wow, yeah, I am feeling that way, and this is why I'm feeling that way. And it's just, I don't know, it's like talking to a therapist, but there's nobody on the other end.
Yeah.
And you can say whatever you want to say. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I think it's nice that when you write your thoughts down, it's the truth and it's what you're feeling at that moment.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you don't get to go back and edit it.
Yeah.
And then you get to be, like I said, it's a lived experience.
Yeah.
It's live, live in color. Like, we are
Love it, brother.
doing this in this moment. This is how I feel. This is where I want to go forward, hopefully.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm at currently.
This is a good place to stop, brother. We
Yeah.
should just kill it right there,
Yeah,
because that's,
let's do that,
I'm
yeah.
liking it. Let's get a list.
Yeah.
People we want to bring on. And
Yeah. So next time we record, we'll have a few guests, hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully
Oh, I got to mention our sponsor.
Yes.
So
Let's hear about
Weston
that.
Boucher, talked to these guys a couple of guys. Weston's I love his clothing. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff on. I've got, this little guy, this puffer jacket, the hat. His clothing is, I found him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, dude, this guy's a male model.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll order some stuff.
You're like,
and
I want to be a male model.
I'll
someday.
step myself up from a 5 to a 6,
Yeah.
And so I ordered some of the clothes, and they're awesome. Like the material that he uses like viscose and silk and wool and just the style. Because like puffer jackets are pretty common.
Yeah.
But usually you see them and they're like big,
Puffy.
bulky.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's like more of a sleek and just,
It
I
looks
don't know.
good on you, man.
Thanks.
It
I
probably looks
appreciate
good on
it.
me too. So
Well, then the beanies, I think I'm the one, I'm taking credit on this, told him to get some beanies because he
Yes.
didn't have them. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, we need some beanies because
Yeah.
it's cold here.
It's
It's
cold
snowing
out in
outside right
Spokane,
now.
yeah. It's beautiful
Yeah,
outside today.
It's cold outside. It was like minus 34
Yeah, we are
wind chill
here in
last
Liberty
year.
Lake. Today's it's supposed to snow pretty much most of the day. We haven't had a lot of snow this year, so this is a beautiful day.
It's
to-
an awesome day.
enjoy
But
this
thank
weather,
you,
yeah.
Weston. So you guys are official sponsors for this podcast, so we appreciate your stuff. And if you guys, I'll probably drop a link or something in the description or whatever. You guys can check it out. But clothing is on point. Seriously, I'm not saying that because they're not paying me for this. It's awesome. I
Well, you
love
look good, man.
it. Yeah,
So,
I appreciate it.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Cheers.
Till next time.
Till next time. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.